This is the story of me and my friends going to Bolivia, having the time of our lives exploring the salt flats, Salar de Uyuni, crossing the border into Chile, and then having the worst travel experience ever trying to get home. Despite all that, Bolivia is still one of the most beautiful countries with the most incredible natural landscapes I've ever seen. I am finally ready to share my craziest travel story of being stranded in the Bolivian desert in March 2018. If you know any of these people or if you were on this bus, please reach out. We're so traumatized that we don't remember the exact details. But let's start at the very beginning. Our 10-day trip started in La Paz, Bolivia, where we did a walking tour riding the gondolas around the city. You know I love walking tours, so I'll link it below. My friends and I enjoyed exploring the vibrant cityscape, strolling through the mystical witches market where we looked at herbs, potions, and traditional remedies. It's a vibrant hub of mysticism deeply rooted in Bolivian folklore. And the breathtaking views as you soar above the city in the famous cable cars. La Paz is amazing, and we love being in the canyon surrounded by lights from the mountains. Did you know that the city sits at an astonishing 3,650 meters above sea level? We took altitude sickness pills while we were in Bolivia and highly recommend it. One of the best things to do in La Paz is to take the cable cars, teleferico. It is so easy to get around. I wish we had more cable car, public transportation systems in the US, and the views never got old. One of the most amazing meals we had was at Popular. Everything about it was delicious and beautifully plated. We had such a great experience and loved every dish. We then made our way to the town Uyuni via an overnight bus and were greeted by our tour company, Red Planet Expedition, for a 3-day Uyuni Salt Flats tour. Salar de Uyuni is the world's largest salt flat, which is a vast expanse of white, all salt, stretching as far as the eye can see. There's an estimated 10 billion tons of salt. How insane is that? During the rainy season, it transforms into a magical mirror reflecting the sky. When we went in March, we were so lucky to have both seen the dry and wet parts of Uyuni. It was incredible and a bucket list dream come true. We took a ton of creative photos with props that played around with different perspectives. How fun is that? Our tour guide gave us all these different pose ideas to do, and we recommend bringing props like a banana, Pringles can, and animals like dinosaurs. We also went to this spot where tourists brought flags and planted them. I was so surprised to see Taiwan and had to take a photo with it. Some other parts we went to as part of the tour is the train cemetery. It echoes Bolivia's industrial past, showcasing a collection of abandoned locomotives and trains from the earlier 20th century. We also stayed at a hotel made out of salt, which was really cool. It's the only hotel allowed inside of the salt flats. We saw lots of cute flamingos at Laguna Colorado, or the Pink Lake. It's a breathtaking sight seeing the pink contrasted with the clear blue skies. Bolivia is remarkable, and I'll link similar tours for you below. The best and safest way to visit Salar de Uyuni is to book a tour, whether it be private or shared. Bolivia is so vast, and as you'll see later on about the insane roads debacle that we faced that caused our 12-hour trip back to Uyuni turning into us being stranded in the desert for 22 hours. So yeah, I can't stress enough how important it is to book a tour. It is also really worth it to be able to sit back and relax and enjoy the incredible views of the drive. You'll learn so much from your guide about the landscape and history of Bolivia. Though the sun will be shining brightly, it was quite cold and very windy, so bring layers and warm clothing. One of my favorite memories of this trip was being in the hot springs under the stars at night, and it was a beautiful experience. At the end of the tour, you can choose whether to get dropped off at the Chilean border or to head back to Uyuni town. We opted to go into Chile and explore a cool little town called San Pedro de Atacama. So this is where the shit show happens. But despite that, I'm still so glad we spent time in San Pedro de Atacama because it's such a unique town and the nature is incredible, so there's a lot of things to do here and different tours and places to see. For example, we went to Salar Lagoon, a saltwater lagoon where you can float effortlessly due to the high salt concentration, so it's just a lot of fun. At San Pedro de Atacama, you can do excursions and day trips to some surreal places like Moon Valley, Valle de la Luna. The landscape is otherworldly, characterized by formations, salt caves, and lunar-like terrains. Another popular spot is Geysers de Tatio. You'll see geothermal activity with steaming geysers against the backdrop of the Andes. The sunsets every night were incredible and seemed to last forever. We couldn't get enough of the views, and our guide was so helpful and would help us take photos. So if you have time to go into Chile for a few days, I highly recommend it. It was also a nice reprieve from the altitude, as it is lower in elevation to Bolivia, and the hot desert was a nice break from the cold. Okay, so the crazy travel story. We booked a bus to take us back to Bolivia, which was supposed to take like a few hours, 10, 12 hours, but a few things affected us. So we were on this bus for 22 hours with no food and no water. So first, I made the mistake of not checking my visa for the Chilean and Bolivia border, and I only had a one-time entry to Bolivia. So once I left to go into Chile, I was supposed to get another visa, but I didn't know that, and I wasn't able to come back through the border crossing, so I ended up paying them to let me in. Anyways, always check your visa requirements. Our bus kept getting stuck because there were no paved roads. It's all dirt and sand. We got stuck at least 4 times and had to get out of the bus to push the bus out of the ditch, and we had to collect rocks to put under the tires to do so. We were stranded mostly in the middle of nowhere with no food or water, and at one point we were near a town, so we tried to find a shop to sell us water, but they didn't have any, so we could only buy Fanta and orange popsicles. So why did the bus keep getting stuck? Well, there were protests happening in Bolivia, and the bus would off-road to go around them. That's why we ended up getting stuck in ditches so many times. The bathroom on the bus was also smelling up the bus. The bus driver had told us to not use the bathroom. When we tried to get the bus out of the ditch multiple times, the bus doors were open, so a bunch of flies flew in and infested the bus. Here's a photo of Maria and I wearing masks and glasses to avoid the flies. Finally, when we were making good progress, the protesters wouldn't let the bus cross a bridge. So we sat there for hours while the bus driver negotiated with the protesters to let us walk across the bridge. And then he had to go get phone signal to call the bus company to send another bus to pick us up on the other side of this long bridge. So everything just took a really long time. It was raining and we were told to hide our backpacks, hair, and hide the fact that we are foreigners, just in case. So that was really scary. Despite the insane long travel full of so much uncertainty and a bit of trauma, to be honest, there were some points where we had amazing views and we got to see a bunch of llamas, so that was nice. That was the only time that I recorded anything because other than that, we were freaking out and trying not to dehydrate or starve. So there you have it, my craziest travel story in Bolivia of not having a visa to re-enter the country and then our 22 hours with no food or water. If you're looking for trip planning and travel resources, I got you. Check out my website, felisaxo.com, for all your trip planning needs. What's your craziest travel story? I'd love to hear about it in the comments.